Welcome to Josh's House of Nerd podcast.
Hello, Nerd Nation. I'm Josh, and I welcome you to the podcast. Grab a cold evergreen goblet of blue milk and make yourself comfortable here at my House of Nerd. Tonight on the podcast, we are on the topic for the month, which is movies where actors were unknown or mostly unknown. And tonight's movie is Josh's pick, the 1984 American supernatural slasher film, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Written and directed by Wes Craven and produced by Robert Shea. Starring Heather Langenkamp, Robert Englund, John Saxton, Ronnie Blakely, Amanda Weiss, Nick Corey, and Johnny Depp in his starring role. Which, let's face it, most of the younger cast was their debut time. So let's talk about this movie, guys. Let's talk about the debut of all these new actors. Some you've seen, some you haven't seen since.
Well, and do you count this as the debut of Lynn Shay too?
I do, because it kind of is. I think she was married to Robert Shea, right? And stuff.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure she was, and that's why she got the part. But I love Lynn Shay. She is so great in like Insidious.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, she's one of the best parts of the Insidious franchise, you know?
Yes, I think she is the best part. I think she makes the franchise. Without Lynn Shay, I don't think that franchise survives.
Right. And stuff. So,
yeah, so I think she's another one that was kind of a little unknown. I mean, definitely unknown in this one. She has a few movies under her belt before then, but I don't think she became a star because of this film, obviously.
Oh, no. Oh, it was such a small part. I mean, for all you out there, Lynn Shay is the teacher, that has the Freddy Krueger clause in the hallway and the teacher where Nancy's going to sleep at the very beginning and sees Tina in the body bag. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Johnny Depp, I think, is the most probably well-known out of this one that then went on to great stardom.
So the one that I know was already an actor that was well known, and that was kind of like their kind of clause in, was John Saxton. John Saxton was a known actor at the time. He was the only one, and Ronnie Blakely, the mom, was a little bit too.
What was he known for at that time? This is obviously
okay. Now you have to ask me that. Now I'm gonna have to look it up and stuff, because I didn't know that we would be talking about. Did you look it up already?
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I'm seeing Enter the Dragon. These are movies I have not seen.
Yeah. But he was a known actor at the time, even though I know he's not known for. There's not any movies that I can think of. There's some westerns, looks like a Clint Eastwood film, but that was kind of like they were telling him, New Line. This is New Line's like first film, because they were just doing distribution at the time, and New Line picked this movie up for the first time, and this was kind of their kind of hooks into getting money secured. Well, secured, then unsecured, then secured again, because it was such a back and forth of getting the money. They had the money, then they didn't, then they did, and then they didn't again, and then they did. It's so crazy. But John Saxton was one of the ones that kind of sealed the deal, because he was kind of a known actor, as you can see in some of these movies, even though most of them look very low budget. And I mean, Black Christmas. I mean, yeah. There's not here too much that he's really. Battle Beyond the Stars. There you go. That's always a really good Star Wars knockoff.
Yeah. So overall, as regards to the film itself, so this was the first time I'd seen A Nightmare on Elm Street in its entirety.
Oh, I'd forgotten that. Yes, I really want to know what your feelings are. I remember you saying that when we.
I'm not a big slasher fan. Yes, it's supernatural in the fact that it's in his, he's in the dreams and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm not a big slasher, and I think this was far more slasher than it was supernatural.
No, I agree with you. The reason I think it's a different slasher movie though.
Yeah, it's the supernatural spin on it really helps it. Like, it's not Halloween, so that's
it's not Friday the 13th either.
Exactly. Yeah, and those are films I really don't really enjoy. So I rank Nightmare on Elm Street higher than those in my personal rankings, simply because it's still a slasher, but the supernatural spin at least puts some kind of a spin on it. So.
Oh yeah, it does. It definitely makes it kind of stand apart from.
Oh, and it's definitely a 1980s film too.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Without a
Well,
doubt.
with the,
Go ahead, Rick. Crit.
I mean, you're thinking like the surreal parts. Like, there's not too many surreal parts in other slashers. Usually, it's basically just a stranger maybe is, supernatural in the sense that they can't easily die or something like that. But this film really did like kind of lean into the
Yeah.
surreal nature of what was happening.
Yeah, exactly. Like the school scene, when is she being dragged around by her hair? I can't remember. It's
Well, I
like what,
mean,
3 weeks now.
people dragged to the ceilings, founts of blood.
Yeah,
It's just like it's like a it's like they really kind of leaned into the fantasy. It seemed like.
yeah.
She was being
instead of
drugged by
just
her
being a
body
film.
bag, dude.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's why I rate it higher than just a normal slasher, because it's definitely, like you said, leans into that aspect.
Yeah, and that's the part I actually like. This is one of my favorite ones. I'm not a huge slasher. I mean, I don't mind watching a Friday the 13th, but if I could watch anything else, I probably will. They're pretty so low budget, and I don't know. I can't. I would watch Halloween any day of the week. The first one, just the first one, and maybe the third one. The third one's okay, but over Friday
Halloween
the
3
13th.
Season of the Witch.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's got some interesting stuff in it. It's not very good, but it's still interesting.
I've only ever seen the first Halloween, so
The third one was supposed to be, they were going to do an anthology series after the second one, and this is the first of the anthology series, and then it didn't do great, so they started to do the Michael Myers stuff again. But I've always liked the Nightmare on Elm Street, and I really like that. I mean, this is one of the ones that actually kind of, when I was little, kind of scared me. The Halloween ones didn't. Friday the 13th never scared me. I think one of the parts that scared me the most was the body bag scene when she's being drugged down the hallway, in a body bag, and you can see her in it. That just creeped me out of her being in that body bag. And that's the kind of stuff that was a little bit more visceral to me, that really got me. This is the Nightmare on Elm Street where Freddy is still trying to be scary. The first and second one, he's still trying to be scary, whereas after that, he kind of turns into comedian a little bit. But this is where I feel like it really sets it apart from the other slashers because of that kind of, play on the nightmares, the supernatural part of it. And it is a slasher, but it kind of elevates it a bit because of those things. And it actually scared me a little bit.
yeah, I think if I'd watched this when I was around that age, I think I'd find it frightening as well. But I was definitely frightened more by movies like Poltergeist.
I was too. A little
That
bit.
was a freaky movie.
Creep Show was another one that freaked me out a little bit. Yeah.
So
This one got me though.
I never saw this one. I don't know what happened that I never saw it. Obviously, I wasn't alive when it first
Which,
came
John,
out.
I'm blown away. As big of a horror fan as you are,
Again,
that you didn't watch this.
it's generally billed as a slasher, and I'm not a big
And you're right.
slasher fan.
Right.
So I've never felt the desire to go watch it because, again, it's generally billed as a slasher, and I don't care about them.
I wonder what John would think about Dream Warriors.
Yeah, I would too. Actually, that's a good point, Crit.
I haven't seen Dream Warriors.
Dream Warriors. If you want to top, there's a ranking. There's a top 3 ranking of Nightmare on Elm Streets, and the first Nightmare on Elm Street is always number 1 in the rankings. Number 2 of the best Nightmare on Elm Streets is Dream Warriors, which is the third one, and then the number 3 ranking typically is the New Nightmare, which was the last one, and the only other one that Wes Craven directed and wrote.
Okay.
Which takes more of a realistic approach to the nightmare. It's taken all the actors that were from the original Nightmare on Elm Street, Heather Langenkamp and Robert Englund and the dad. It takes a few of those actors, John Saxon, and puts them in a real world environment in Hollywood, and then it plays off of this, like these things are really happening to real people, and that Freddy Krueger is an actual demon that's coming after them because of them doing the Nightmare on Elm Street films.
Huh.
It's kind of a unique take on. This is where it gets a little bit more supernatural, but Dream Warriors is just like slasher comedian, or it's like almost like what would you say, comedic slasher movie, Chris?
It's a horror superhero team up. That's what it is. Yeah.
It's what it is. Because
Yeah,
in the
it's
third
like a
one, they can actually take control of their dreams in the third one.
Yeah. So like they're actually fighting Freddy, and they have their own like superpowers when they're in the dream, so it makes things a little more interesting. It's very campy. It's it's not
It's so
good in
much
a
fun.
traditional sense, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's so
And
much
it's
fun. They
very
try to be.
surreal.
Oh man, you could think of it as like a Drag Me to Hell type, comedic, trying to be a little scary sometimes, but more comedic at other times. It's the first one where Freddy goes full on, hilarious, but there are some kind of shocking scenes too, some good body horror stuff. But anyways, here we go talking about the sequels. Hey, one thing I wanted to bring up and about this is, yes, this is a slasher movie, but if I had to like go with kills in a slasher movie, there's not a lot of kills. All right, there's not. You can think of there's just a handful of them, right?
Mhm.
But I think there's some of the more classic kills of all time in a slasher movie. And we can, talk about the Glenn's death in the waterbed. We can talk about Tina's death on the ceiling in the very beginning of it. I mean, those are some of the more unique kills you can think of in a horror movie or in a slasher movie and stuff. It's just how they're done. I don't know what your guys' opinion, but that's my feeling on it because, I mean, the bloodbath scene where he gets drugged down to that waterbed and then it just pours out. Oh my hell, that just freaked me out when I was a kid. Unbelievable. And it's really cool how they did that scene too, the special effects, if you've ever read up on it. Both of those scenes, the Tina scene, kill scene, and the Johnny Depp kill scene, were both done in the same bedroom, but they were just redressed, and it's a rotating room. And so that's all done upside down and stuff. And it's just, I think it's done really, really well for as low budget as Nightmare on Elm Street was. Some of the special effects are pretty cool. And then the other scene that I think is just a real good, something I really, really enjoy. And it kind of gives me, tingles sometimes when I see it, is that scene where Nancy is sleeping right before Tina's killed and he comes out of the wall and you can just see him coming through the wall, kind of like there's a shroud kind of coming over her, and then he retreats and then she knocks on the wall. I just think that's such a cool scene. I mean, it's so low budget, like special effects of how they did that. It's like spandex, and then she's knocking next to the wall where the spandex was, but it's so done well, in my opinion, for such a low budget,
Yeah, I don't know if I can agree that they're the best kills in cinematic history.
Oh, not cinematic history. I'm talking slasher movies. Yeah,
but
just
even in slasher movies, I'm not sure, but I do think they're iconic in the sense that they influenced everything that came. They influenced everything that came after them. Then
I agree with that.
One-upmanship, essentially.
No, I totally agree with you, Chris. I probably should have said it more like what you just said. I think they're very iconic. There you go. That's a better term to say. Yes. Because those are the things I look for in this movie is, I find that those are scenes are really, really pull me in or suck me in to the overall show. But anyways, those are the big things that that really pull me into this movie.
Yeah.
And again, I can't believe you haven't seen it. This is the first time, John. It's just like crazy. I know it's slasher and stuff like that, but
it's also low budget. It's also 80s camp at like coming out of the 70s into the 80s. So like,
it's kind of before my time.
Yeah, it's a different generation. Like I would, obviously didn't see it when it came out either because I was just born. So
1984.
84. Oh, okay. So I was 4 years old. Sorry.
Yeah.
Now I have your birthday. Oh no, I only have like.
I don't care. Yeah.
I'm just slowly building your birthday.
So I would have been 7. So
you didn't see it either in theaters.
Oh heck no! I saw it on VHS for the first time, probably in '86 or '87.
Wait, Josh is older than Crit?
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yep, not by much, but I am.
Not by much, but yeah. No, I did not know that. Well, now I have to treat
look older
Josh
than I do.
Yeah, now I'm gonna have to switch my I lost my train of thought now. Never mind.
Our friend Drew, he that's why he called me old man all the time. I was the older of all of our group, but not by much. That jerk. Anyway. Anyways, what were other things you guys liked about this? Anything else that you guys pointed out that you thought was interesting about this movie?
I liked the zoom ins on like the finger knives, and like the whole building of the finger knives in the beginning montage thing. I liked that. That was
isn't that fun?
I don't remember the knives looking so flimsy though. Like they're just regular.
Yeah, they look like
knives,
plastic.
And I was just like, I was like, oh, this is. I remember them being so much more like lethal looking, but they don't look lethal at all.
No, they look like they're like tin or aluminum or something. And it's
I'm sure they are too for safety, but like that, it's just like they're just the everyday steak knives with like the cheap ones with the wood handles you could get back in the day.
So
and
I know they built two gloves. I know a little bit too much about this movie. It's something that's kind of fascinated me just because I watched it when I was younger and stuff. But they built two gloves. One actually was sharp, and that's the one he like actually cuts things with. And then the other one was probably the one they showed on camera. So they had a hero one and a one that wouldn't cut you as easily.
As easily.
And then
I was about to say like they've got to make it somewhat cuttable.
And then they had the other one that really did cut. That was, they said, if you weren't really careful with that one, you would cut yourself. Almost every person who ever put their hands in it most likely cut themselves. And stuff, which was interesting. Yeah, but that scene is probably one of the things that creeped me out the most when I was younger. It was that kind of starting scene of him building those knives.
They did a good job. It was a little creepy.
It was apparently, I was reading kind of a backstory on that they were going to show in the original cut. They were going to show like his whole area. They actually had gone into this boiler room area of an old, machine shop or whatever, and actually built out this entire work area, a living area. And they were going to show that he lived there. That kind of went along with the story of the mom and how they tracked him to the place that he would kill his kids and things like that. And but they never got to show that part. That was the only part that kind of survived, was the building of the claws, or of the hand gloves. So I thought that was kind of a little bit interesting take on it. And originally he was going to be a child molester too. And then because they had a whole bunch of child molestation stuff at that time, like tons had just come out in the press, they changed it to child murderer.
That's,
well, I mean, like,
I don't know if I was saying.
I know it's on the edge.
On the edge.
I know it's like when I read that, I'm like, isn't that basically? It's pretty dang close to the same thing.
Well, the weird part that I didn't remember was, so they had all the scenes at the beginning and the kill at the beginning, and then when they established like the extended family and the father that's a police officer, and he's talking about that she's a 15-year-old kid died. I'm like, she was supposed to be 15. Oh my god! And like, just I didn't remember, like, they. To my eyes, they always look like they're, 17, 18, heading into that range. And then like the whole show feels much worse because they're supposed to be depicting like 15 and 16-year-olds.
I did not catch that. That's something that I don't know if I've ever caught, because I always thought they were probably more like 17 or 18 as well.
Right.
That makes it even worse with them, like, all the sex going on and all of the, oh my god, yeah. It's still, wow.
Which kind of explains some of the acting, in the sense that like how their acting feels much less mature than their age looks.
Okay.
Especially what's her name, the main actress,
Heather Langenkamp.
Yeah, like how she interacts with her parents feels younger than what she looks.
Yeah,
I get that. I can get that feel now that you mention it.
Wow, that kind of puts it in a whole different light. That's kind of creepy in a way too.
Very creepy.
Oh my goodness, that's that's very interesting. So, especially like, okay, that makes it even feel creepier. Like when they do the bathtub scene.
Yep,
and stuff like that. I mean, And they actually there's a I didn't even notice this until this one. There's a little bit of nudity there, but I did read this that it is not Heather Langenkamp and stuff. It's actually they got a body double to do all the underwater scenes when Freddy pulls her under.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm like, okay, good. I'm not looking at a teenager naked. That's great. At least they spared, anyway. But that's I thought that was interesting as well. I always that always creeped me out anyway, that scene and stuff like that. I'm just like, boy, I don't know how weird I feel pretty weird being that guy with the glove right in there in the bathtub there with Heather Langenkamp and stuff with a glove coming up out of the water in her crotch. I'm like, what? It's again an iconic scene, but it still makes you feel weird.
Yeah.
The whole purpose of horror is to create a sense of vulnerability, and
I don't know how much more vulnerable you can be.
Yeah,
drifting in a tub, and stuff. But it definitely does do that. Anyways, but that's that's what they're doing, and that's what I think is the good thing about this is they do put you off kilter a little bit in some of those scenes. So. Anyways, anything else you guys have to say? I feel like we're kind of rounding up down on this a little bit.
Not really. Like it was a fun watch. Like I'll probably it might make my horror movie list next October when I build my monthly list. Just because of the supernatural stuff in it and how iconic the deaths are and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it might make my list.
It's one level up from it's a slasher movie, but a little bit more than that. Yeah. I highly recommend to you, John, Dream Warriors and A New Nightmare. Those other two.
All right.
Because I genuinely think they both have two separate different spins than even the original, which makes them unique in their own ways.
Okay. Yeah,
now the rest of the Nightmare on Elm Street, watch at your peril. I mean, they're
get rough.
Oh, they get rough. There's 4 has a few things in it that's okay, but 5 and 6 are awful. Yeah, and stuff. Oh, and then 7 kind of returns it back to kind of quite a bit better.
Wait, they went to 7? Holy crap!
This was the 80s, man. They milked.
Yeah, that's true.
All of these franchises.
Yeah, Freddy's Dead is the 6th one, and then the 7th one is the New Nightmare, and then they got, of course, there's kind of people consider the Freddy versus Jason the 8th one, but
and that's just horror WWE.
Oh yeah,
that's funny.
Anyway, all right, well let's wrap this up. Let's give our ratings of this, guys. I'll go first. I gave this an 8 out of 10 Freddy gloves, and I own it. I've owned it for a long time. I actually really enjoy this movie. It's a classic in my opinion. Classic horror movie. Because I don't necessarily think of it necessarily as, I know it's a slasher, but in my mind it's on just barely on that edge of not being one. So anyways, that's my rating. Go ahead.
My mom would never watch this, so I would never watch it with my mom. Too slasher for her.
Yeah, I'm sure she would thank you for that, John.
I mean, she could surprise me. She could pop out of the woodwork and go, "Oh yeah, I've watched it. I enjoy it." I guess I could be surprised, but
yeah, I haven't watched this with my mom, but I know she's seen it and she didn't like it at all. If you can take anything from that for your mom,
right?
Crit, what'd you think, man?
I gave this a 4 out of 10. It's just not it's not a movie I'm going to come back to. Like I'm not going to celebrate it as far as that goes. And also the acting is really bad. Like adult movie level bad in many places. And the script isn't that great. And the concept is the only thing that holds it together. And this is before Freddy got truly interesting. Like he was interesting compared to other slashers. Obviously Voorhees doesn't have much of a personality really to, as far as that goes. And this one, Freddy does even in this movie, but this movie, it's not the final form of like Freddy and like Dream Warriors or something like that, where like he's got his own personality, right? And so he's a bit more interesting of a character by the time they get there.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that fully. Sorry about that. I thought somebody else was going to jump in.
No problem. I thought you cut out for a second.
Oh, I actually muted. My daughter was leaving to go back up to college. She came down for my wife's birthday, so I muted and said goodbye to her and my mom. So
you didn't want to record that for posterity and make sure it made it to YouTube.
Oh yeah, so it did.
All right. Well, are we ready for picks?
Yes. Yeah, John, you've got him this week, right?
Yep.
Do it.
All right. So, first one. He no longer has the high ground. Second one. Back when the red light district didn't mean windmills.
Okay.
And the third one is it'll take more than power washing to get that off. So he no longer has the high ground. Back when the red light district didn't mean windmills. And it'll take more than power washing to get that off.
I'm really leaning on 2 or 3, Crit.
Really? You're going to skip the one with Hayden Christensen, huh?
I don't know which one the first one is.
The high ground? He no longer has the high ground? Wait, no, that'd be Ewan McGregor, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But, so you're thinking the first one's Star Wars, okay?
No, I'm thinking the first one's a
Revenge of
reference to
Sith.
Star Wars, but it's probably Ewan McGregor's first movie. Would be my guess.
You pick it. I'm good this week. What's your choice?
I don't know.
Power washing really caught me the most. Well, the red light district one too, but.
And just for the people back at home, the red light district joke is Idaho did this huge campaign against windmills, calling it the new red light district because of the red lights on top of them. And how it's not, the world's oldest profession, but it's still the same thing, how we prostitute our power across to California. So,
wow, that's a deep cut. I had no idea, and I lived here.
Yeah, they used to be on billboards all over the place.
Yeah, there was for a while.
I have a blind spot to billboards, so
that's good. Lucky you.
So, do you want to do number 1, Crit?
Yeah, I'm interested in whether or not the theory's right. I mean, I guess we find out either way, but
okay. So we'll start at the bottom then. It'll take more than power washing to get that off. Is American Graffiti.
Oh, I've seen that one. Yeah, that's a good movie.
Back when the red light district didn't mean windmills is Taxi Driver.
That would have been
I've never
a good
seen
one.
that. I've never seen it.
And he no longer has the high ground is Black Hawk Down.
Yeah. So Ewan McGregor.
Yep. Well, not just Ian McGregor, Josh Hartnett.
Josh
McGregor.
Hartnett. Yep.
Oh man, there's a bunch in there.
Okay.
Man, what's his face? Tom Hardy.
Yep.
What's the elf? Legolas. Who plays Legolas?
Orlando Bloom.
Orlando Bloom. Yeah, Orlando Bloom's in this one. Yep.
Well, it wasn't his first movie, was it?
I don't think it was his first, but I think he became bigger after this movie.
Probably true.
I'd forgotten that there was so much. I only remembered Ewan McGregor and Josh Hartnett.
It was his second movie.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Good choices.
Right.
Taxi Driver would have been really interesting.
Oh yeah, I think that would have been. I think all of them would have been good too. American Graffiti is always interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I really enjoy Black Hawk Down. I'm going to really enjoy talking about it. So,
I haven't seen it for a long time. I'm actually excited to see it because it's been so long since I have seen it. So we'll do that.
Sweet.
That's good picks, man, and stuff.
Thank you.
You bet. And to everyone out there listening, thank you for supporting us and our channel and listening to us. Gab. We like to gab. And if you liked what you heard here, click the like button. Let us know that you're doing there. Please comment on what we're talking about here so that we know that somebody's out there somewhere in the nether. And as always, may you be excellent to each other and live long and prosper. From all of us here at Josh's House of Nerd, have a good night.
Thanks for watching. For more nerdy awesomeness, please like and subscribe and check out our other nerdy videos.